Welcome into the Michigan State Hockey Hub, two-episode day. Recorded one earlier this evening as well, but we have Joshua Linsenberg here today from NYI Hockey Now, and Josh is a great guy. I actually found him. I went through somebody else who suggested him, and I started following him and seeing his work. And Josh, it looks like you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I run around with my head cut off like a crazy chicken, basically.
So, where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Boston. So I
Mhm.
grew up a Bruins fan, still am a Bruins fan deep down to this day. Hockey up in New England is basically the equivalent of high school Texas football.
Yeah.
My high school was known for their hockey. And when the Bruins won in 2011, that was sort of when I really got into hockey. So it's been a passion ever since then.
Yeah, so, um, as you know, and as anyone who's listening probably knows, Long Island is coming to Munn Arena this weekend, Friday, Saturday, tilt against the Spartans. And usually, what I do is I just get on Twitter, search the opponent's name, find some local journalist or something. Well, with it being such a new program, it was a little bit harder than that this time, but we're really glad that we have you here to tell us about this new team. This is their second season, is that correct?
It's actually their third season,
Third season.
third season now. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, and they're starting to make a name for themselves. It's great.
Yeah, so why don't we just start. Keep in mind, anyone listening to this likely a Michigan State fan likely does not know anything about Long Island University's hockey team. Besides Spartan fans, there is one player you will know, Adam Goodsir, former Michigan State Spartan, fantastic guy. You'll have to ask him if you talk to him. It was, I believe, last season. A fan, a young fan, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 years old, whatever, had a sign saying, inviting Adam Goodsir to his hockey game the next day. And Adam Goodsir went. He went to the kids' hockey game, got a picture with them. You can find it on Adam's Twitter. He's not too active, so I don't think it would be too deep. But definitely has good memories from us. That's for sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about their path so far in their schedule and how they've looked?
Yeah, this LIU hockey team is there's something different. There's something brewing compared to the other seasons they've had. And as previously mentioned, they're in their third year here as a program, and so far this season they had no easy start. They open up against number 9 Northeastern.
Yeah.
Okay, and everyone, I would say for the most part on the fan side, it's like you got Devon Levi in net, one of the top goalies in the nation
Yeah.
right now. This Long Island University team was able to take Northeastern University, a top 10 team in the country, to overtime. And even though they lost 3-2 in overtime, but still, that is a major feat for this team. This team very much plays with the chip on their shoulder, and it shows. Just having talked to a lot of the guys, like their captain, Jack Quinn, I asked him, like what's the message to the teams who underrate you guys, and doubt you guys? And his message is pretty simple: is watch us. The on ice product shows that they are a rising and contending program that's probably going to get picked up. I think within the next 2 years by a conference here on the East Coast. And their biggest recent achievement was October 9th. They tied Quinnipiac in overtime. That's even higher ranked. They're number
Yeah.
7 in the country. And if that doesn't go to show that a young program like this is putting up a fight, I don't know what will. Because I feel like it's a very underrated program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I saw them on the schedule and thought, oh, good. This is a program that we'll be able to pick up 2 wins. And Michigan State's not a, in the past has not been a good team anytime recently. Now they look different this year, and we'll get into that in a bit. But I saw them on the schedule, and I was like, okay, finally we can pad a couple wins. But from what I've seen, I haven't watched them play at all. But just looking at the box scores, I was kind of, what? Like I'm following
Yeah.
um, college hockey somewhat closely, and I just saw the box scores, and I was like, oh my gosh, this may not be as easy as I think it is. So
Yeah.
they're doing pretty well for a third-year program, especially well. Who are some names in the forward group that Michigan State fans should know? Who are some of the top producers?
Well, I think definitely Anthony Vincent. He's one of LIU's alternate captains this year. He's the leading goal scorer right now. He's been red hot. I believe he's a transfer from Holy Cross.
Mhm.
Might have to double check that. But yeah, Anthony Vincent has been great. Also, Spencer Cox has been really good for this team so far. He got invited to Nashville Predators development camp this summer. Good Sir has been pretty good.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. LIU's defense is also really good at scoring. They have actually right now, I checked yesterday, they have one of the top 10 scoring defenses in the state right now. And they're tied with Frozen Four alum Minnesota State. So this is a team that is putting up some impressive numbers in the stat column and slowly but surely is starting to get some eyes. But if I were to describe their style of play on the ice, and just from watching them in practice as well, is they are very fast, very physical, and very aggressive. Their practices are a lot more intense than you would think for a young D1 program like they have, and they're sprinting from the start. Brett Riley, who's their head coach, and if the name sounds familiar, is because he comes from a family that has been in the college hockey industry for quite a bit. He's done a great job building this team culture, and everyone is really aggressive. We've seen in practice some of the players get frustrated, even slam their sticks and whatever. But Brett Riley sees that as like good energy because they're so locked in, so determined to get things right.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like a team now. Goodsir, when he was at Michigan State, he was a bottom 6 type guy and, did a lot of things right. Wasn't gonna put up a ton of points or anything, but a serviceable player for sure, and, really glad to see that he landed in a good spot here. It's funny, so we have the student section, they call the Munsters, which you'll see them on, on the screen this weekend. One of their leaders, Scott, who likes the leader of this section, is actually from the area up there, and was
Oh,
like,
Long Island.
yeah,
Oh,
it was like
cool.
it's so strange to see like them have a hockey team, knowing like that they
Yeah.
didn't have one when he
It,
came to Michigan State.
it's ooh, my bad. I don't know why my
Oh, no, you're fine.
Spotify was going off. But yeah, it's sort of weird how they've they've gotten their rise, and for those who don't know, they practice and play in the same place. They play at Northwell Health Ice Center, which is the official practice facility of the New York Islanders.
Yeah,
And I think that's a great thing for this team. Practicing in an NHL facility,
yeah,
I think, is great motivation for a young program and young kids who have a chip on their shoulder like LIU. Now, I've gotten this question many times. Will LIU ever get their own arena or anything?
yeah,
The word on the street is right now there isn't any plans for that. The plan is to stick with Northwell Health Ice Center. But just because they don't have their own arena doesn't mean they're not getting top tier teams. After this weekend, we got Omaha, Nebraska coming to town. Later this season, you have Ohio State, Northeastern again, Quinnipiac again. So they are slowly but surely gaining the respect of the college hockey community, and that's exactly how head coach Brett Riley wants to do it.
Yeah, so why don't we dive into the defense? Who are a couple names there? How have they been playing as a unit? You mentioned that they bring some scoring as well from the blue line.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Spencer Cox is probably the go-to player when I think about the defense because he's really fast on his skates. He's physical on the boards. Also, I forget. I'm trying to remember who it is here, but it's oh yeah, it's Riley Wallach. So he's 6'5" on skates. When we first look at him, he's a freshman, and you think, oh, he's definitely a defenseman. The guy's a forward, and the guy he is very, very, very physical, and sort of serves, in my opinion, as a forward defenseman hybrid. And I think that's really underrated for this LIU team to have someone who can sort of do both. But it's very much a we attitude. I don't think there's one particular guy who really carries the load. Everyone carries the load, and it's a very team centered attitude over there.
Yeah.
Very blue collar.
Awesome. So what's the goalie situation looking like?
Yeah, the goalie situation is really interesting for LIU. So you have Vinny Purpura. So Vinny has started
Say
all
that
the.
name again because I know I'm gonna want to know how to pronounce it after this
So
weekend.
it's pronounced Vinny Purpura.
Purpura. Okay, thank
Purpura.
you.
Yeah, no, you're good. So Vinny is a senior. He previously played for Boston University up in Hockey East near my neck of the woods, and he's been great so far. In that, started every game, has looked real dominant. I believe uh, I'd have to double check my stat book, but he's 13th in the nation in goals against average right now, which is really good to see. Uh, the goalies getting some well-deserved recognition, and just talking to head coach Brett Riley, he's been really satisfied with the goalie culture as a whole with this LIU team. With two games slated for this weekend, I would not be shocked if uh, other senior goaltender Brandon Perrone gets the start in net for one of these games. He's a Long Island native. He's looked really good in practice. Also, Brandon Perrone and Vinny Purpura, you'll see it this weekend, but they have some of the best goalie pad and helmet designs, I think, in the
I love
country.
that.
Yeah, Brandon Perrone has this old school blue and yellow padding, and I did a story recently for Hockey Now on the design behind his mask and what he pays homage to, and some really cool stuff there if you want to check it out. But yeah, it seems that Brett Riley is keeping it pretty much airtight on what his plans are for this weekend. But from what I've seen, and just the fact that they're going to have their home opener next weekend as well and have another 2-game slate, I wouldn't be shocked if Brandon Perrone splits time with Vinny Purpura, but you're definitely going to get Vinny Purpura from one of these 2 games. And Vinny is a very locked in guy from the moment he steps foot in the arena. Just on chats with him, he's the type of guy who walks in the arena, puts his headphones in, and doesn't want to hear from anyone else. He doesn't want to talk to anyone pregame. That's his daily, ritual when it comes to pregame, and he's very composed. And we saw it in the first game of the season against Northeastern. He made some really big critical saves in that third period that took that game to overtime.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's gonna be a much tougher matchup than we imagined. Now, just a little bit on Michigan State for you. They do have a forward who's 6'3", Jagger Joshua, who's also extremely physical and also lives in the penalty box. So Might be a fun little matchup to see if
Yeah,
those two can go
6'5"
after
versus
each other.
6'3".
Michigan State, I just want to make this announcement as well. As announced today on Twitter that Michigan State freshman Victor Hertig, who's a defenseman, a 6'6" defenseman, a draft pick of the New Jersey Devils, is going to be back for the first time this season. He was serving. No, I'm trying to decide. No, I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to misquote it. I don't know all of the details. But he did not play the first 4 games. He was playing in the exhibition game before that. A big body defenseman. So Michigan State will be able to add that. They've been dressing 7 defensemen. So I don't know where they're going to fit him in or how they will do that. These two teams, to me, from what I've heard from you, sound similar.
They are.
Several transfers, some puck moving defensemen, and Michigan State puts up a ton of shots. Now, in the previous decade, it would not be uncommon to see Michigan State in the day with 17 or 22 shots or something. This year, they're breaching 40, 35, 42, stuff like that. New coach, new energy, and they played a lot better. They went head to head, toe to toe with Bowling Green and UMass Lowell, who I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Oh yeah.
Those are good programs. They beat UMass Lowell on a Thursday night last week. I believe they were ranked number 16. And then they lost 3-4. It was 4-0, and the Spartans scored 3 goals in the third period. Our goalie situation, Dylan St. Cyr, who actually played at Quinnipiac last year, previous years before that at Notre Dame, tons of experience, has started all 4 games. Pierce Charleston's a junior. Let me make sure I have that right. Yep, a junior who has some experience as well, was behind Drew DeRitter the past couple of years. I don't know if we will see Pierce Charleston or not. It seems like a good series to get him his first action. But overall, these two teams seem pretty evenly matched. It's looking like it's going to be a great weekend tilt for sure.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I think this LIU team is itching to get off the road. An interesting stat. I was talking to some of the guys today on the phone, and I think they've played about almost 80% of their games on the road because they're such a young program.
Ugh.
And this is the 2-game slate this weekend. So in total, they're going to be coming off a 6-game road trip. So I think they're going to be really itching to get off the road here. But this season, they're going to have a lot more home games because they've been growing and whatnot. But I talked to Brett Riley about just the energy of quieting the crowd, because I know Michigan State's student section can be loud, it can be hostile. And I talked to him, about quieting the crowd, and he says that's going to be a huge energy momentum booster if they're able to do that. So I expect Long Island to come out attacking early. They're going to give it everything they got because they want to come back energized and ready for next week.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Josh. The Michigan State crowd's been bad. It's just been
Really?
bad. The student section has been fantastic, absolutely packed. And they put out printouts with like certain players' names from the other team with information. Like they do homework. It's hilarious, but they do a really good job. Everywhere else, you're going to see a lot of empty seats, and that needs to change. It's embarrassing, honestly. I mean, this is a historic program now. It's been a decade of losing. Don't get me wrong. Hopefully that turns around soon. Hopefully it starts this weekend. I don't know, but I was embarrassed by the crowd that we saw last week. Now, there's other sports going on at that time on campus. I get it. I understand all of the reasoning behind it, but at the end of the day, the Michigan State crowds have to be better. And I don't want that to sound like me, taking a shot at anyone. That's just a fact of the matter. And, there's too many empty seats. So we'll see what the crowds look like. Before I get you out of here, I just want your prediction for Friday and Saturday night. You don't have to give me a score. You can if you want to. And just so you know, I have never predicted anything right on this show, ever, even last year. I'm so bad at it. So don't feel like you have to get it right.
Okay. I definitely think one of these games is going to overtime.
Okay.
I am 1000% convinced on that, just based off of LIU going against big level programs. I mean, Big Ten is big for this team. This is a big weekend for them. And let's see, what other predictions can I make? I do think we're going to see Brandon Perone get the start or come in for one of these games. And my final prediction, oh boy,
Okay. How about this?
I'm gonna say LIU takes one of two.
Okay.
I
I
really I really think they will. It might be the overtime game, but if Vinny Purpura keeps playing the way he has, he is on he's on a path for a record-breaking season for him. The way he is locked in right now, so
I'll go with a split as well. Um, Last week I predicted Michigan State to get swept. They split, so I'll go with a split this weekend. I'll go with Michigan State winning the shots on goal, and I'll go with Michigan State winning the faceoffs, which they've been fantastic. I think they've lost
yeah.
one game in faceoffs. They have
Yeah.
Zach Dubinsky, number 14, went like 9-0 his first game. At one before last weekend was winning at a 76% clip, which is absurd.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that. The LIU face-off has not been good the past two games here, so
so
that's
I think that will
something.
help with the shots on goal advantage
Yeah,
too. I'll go with the split. I think Pierce Charleston will start a game this weekend. Um, let him get in. I'll say he starts Friday and Dylan St. Cyr gets the win on Saturday. That's what I'll go with.
we shall see. We
All
shall
right, Josh. Well,
see.
thank you so much. Tell everybody where first off, everyone make sure to like the video and hit subscribe. That helps us kind of get out. It doesn't do anything for me really. It just helps more people see this video. Feel free to drop a comment if you want to give your own prediction as well. Josh, tell everyone where they can find you on Twitter and
Yes. So they can find me on Twitter at Josh Linsenberg. Pretty simple, Linsen. Biggest mistake is people always give it an I. Senberg. And then to see any of the stories and pieces I've written, you can go to NYI Hockey Now.com. Bridgeport Islanders, Long Island University men's and women's hockey, and as well as New York Islanders coverage.
awesome. Well, thank you so much and best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see. Go Sharks.